All righty. Sorry about that delay. Welcome back. It's great to see you. Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. I'm staring into a sea of crazy ring lights, and it's not the best day for it because I have been very sick this weekend, and kept thinking to myself, will I be able to do the show? Will I be able to do it? Because I love getting together and doing something on the weekend during our cocktail time slot. But I'm not 100%. I got to say, I didn't even make the pretense of putting on makeup or anything tonight. I just appeared here, and the struggle began with the lights. And obviously, when you're not feeling well, none of the lights hitting your face are going to look okay. So it is what it is for tonight. Welcome back. I am so happy to see you, and it is great to be here. It has been very touch and go today. Let's see what buddies are there. I'm sorry for that delay. Let me just check everything. I'm going to scroll to the bottom in a minute because I had an update, which is what held me up a little bit. I was looking at a different screen and I wasn't really sure where to go with it. So I will leave it up to you to tell me if anything other than my poorly look right now, anything technical is going wrong. Please let me know. It is great to see you this Sunday, everybody. This is a Halloween episode, even though we just passed Halloween. I was out on Halloween with the kids. I'll tell you all about it. It was a lot of fun, but I could not sort of squander. And Ruth, you're the first one to log on there. Ruth said, do it while you can because you don't know how long the kids will want to trick or treat with me. So I took the opportunity on Friday to go out with them, and thus we are here on Sunday night. Sunday night, and thank you for being flexible with me. Ruth, great to see you, and thank you for that great advice. Cheers to a new month. I like that. I like that. I really like that actually. It is November. There's a lot of things going on this month. And you know what? At least for me here, a lot of my big stuff got done in October, right? The big party, teaching at Jocelyn School the other day. I hosted a pumpkin carving and poetry night at my church. Everything fell within 7 days, and then Halloween itself. So it has been a bit of a harrowing month here. And just the sound of welcome to a new month, right, sounds amazing because I'm thinking about at the end of the month. I know you Canadians have already had your Thanksgiving, but we're having that the third Thursday of this month. And I need to think about that. I need to think about that as well. Um, Good thought. Good thought. And Cheryl, great to see you. Cheers, my dears. Oh, Cheryl, you said cheers to a new month. Cheryl on the Cape said cheers to a new month. I will take it. This is the best time of the year, isn't it? In my mind, it is anyway. Teddy disagrees with me. He definitely prefers the scalding hot temperatures, but I am remembering my grandmother's sentiment that as soon as you hit October, um, you are like skidding downhill toward January 1st, New Year. And I think she's right about that. There is something about these 3 months that make life so frenetic. And it's like trying to grab a cat by the tail, which obviously one would never want to do. But yeah, it's going to go fast, isn't it? So we're going to hold on and try to enjoy it as it comes. Mom, great to see you. Good evening. Delighted to be there. Looking at some of the Halloween rugs. I was sad this morning because it was a busy weekend, but my plan was to go to the service this morning, and it was a real different one at the church. It was one of the guys was there was a lot of music. It was one family putting it on and being featured, and he was doing something about the his dad's passing, and his wife was singing with their two sons, and it just was sounded really different and really beautiful. And I got myself out of bed, and for the third morning in a row, I felt super dizzy and vertigo, and I felt like, do I have food poisoning? Am I actually dying, actively dying right now? Like what's going on? I felt awful. But I showered, put all my makeup on, and I thought I'm gonna head out. I think it's just me, and I could not. I just could not. I got back into bed with a full face of makeup and slept for another 3 hours. So I was disappointed with myself, but I do feel better. So obviously I needed it, Mom. I'm sad I missed you this morning. Diane, it's great to see you in Canada. I am excited that you're there too. Welcome to Cocktail Night on a Sunday. Speaking of which, because Cocktail Night is on a Sunday, I'm going to do our coffee time episode on Wednesday this week. So I'm going to be with you this coming week, Wednesday and Friday, because I have not been well and I have not had time. I had time to prep this show, but I haven't had time to prep a show in time for tomorrow morning. So I'll do Wednesday morning because Tuesday is voting day. It's election day. And then I'll be with you again on Friday, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Linda B, great to see you, and thank you for the reminder. Actually, Linda said, "Sorry to be a pest. I was just checking to see if it was happening." And I said to her, "You are never a pest, number one, and number two, I could use a reminder because I was sitting on the couch with my new tablet working on the next book. I'll tell you about that too, just as a reminder, in case you're interested in jumping in to another project." So it was a great reminder. And then I started remembering about it being daylight savings here, right? So I was thinking, oh, is everybody going to log in at the right time, or is this going to be confusing and stuff? You got it. You all got it. You're ahead of me. Judy, great to see you. Cheers, my dears, everyone on this cozy autumn evening by the fire. You know, the fire is going 2 rooms over, and I can almost see it. So I'm feeling that coziness too. Marty, hello from Whoville. Great to see you, Marty. Welcome back. And Kirsten. Oh, Kirsten, I owe you a message from today for sure. We usually write back and forth throughout the day, and I have just been, unconscious. So I wasn't that good today. Greetings, my friends from chilly Vermont. Oh my gosh, I bet. Joy, it's great to see you. Good evening to you too. Karen, great to see you in balmy Black Forest, Colorado. Oh, that sounds beautiful. It sounds like beautiful weather and a little bit earlier for you too. Melissa, great to see you. Welcome back. I've been loving your posts. I love seeing your posts. And Ruth says, here from Chile, Missouri. Welcome back. It's great to see you. This is a good way to stay inside and enjoy and start feeling cozy. Warm yourself from the inside out, right? Um, okay, thanks, Mom. Yeah, thank you. I'm looking at the volume. That's the main thing that changes when I get these gifts, these gift updates. And Sharon, great to see you. Hello from Chile Eagle Bridge bonfire tonight. Oh, that sounds really fun. And your finished piece, Sharon, your finished. Let me see if I can pull it up here. It was in the group. But up, but up, up, up. Hold on one second. Karen finished from the Halloween party the free pattern I put out, which is called Midnight Dreary. And I know you all can picture it. Here it is. It's right here. Let me see if it shows up at all well on the monitor. It's going to be a lot of crazy lights behind it. And hopefully it comes into focus. There we go. That is an awesome rendition of Midnight Dreary. I love the white shadow around the tree. That's really smart. The shadows, you have very few shadows in there, which is nice because it gives it like a really dark look. The shadows are there. I love this one. This one is really, really good. I have not yet finished mine. I almost finished mine. And I think I might yet finish it, even though I know I missed the mark for Halloween. I'm really enjoying putting mine together as well. I hope you all saw the video I posted yesterday. I didn't feature it because I was feeling a bit sick and I thought like maybe it's not the best video, but I did post it. I met my friend Shay at the Fiber Festival, the New England Fiber Festival that takes place at the Big E space, right? The fairgrounds, it's inside. And man, when you're not feeling great, that's a big fair. I was feeling okay, but definitely weak and thinking something's wrong or whatever. But I thought like food poisoning, and it might yet be food poisoning. So I don't know. But anyway, I felt good while we were shopping. Go figure, right? And we cruised around like a couple hundred stalls at least. It's probably more than that. And saw some of our good buddies. And I hope that you'll watch that video because I visit with Janet, Connor, and Naomi from Ravensgate Primitives, and my buddy Haley from Loop by Loop, and a bunch of other stalls that were fantastic. And I show you at the end of the video the stuff that I picked up and how I plan to use it. So that was a lot of fun. And I just want to remind you, when you've got fairs and stuff coming up, I know we're probably at the end of the fiber season, but it'll come again in the spring. And I always like to know when everybody else's fairs are taking place. And if you record videos of going through fairs like I do, when I say like, oh hey, look at this thing, isn't this awesome? You know what you could do with this thing. If you record videos like that, you know that I want to see them, and it's fine to post that on the Facebook page, which is Rug Cooking and Punch Needle Club. You're always welcome to participate in that way as well. And we always like to know when these things are taking place so we don't miss them. It's so easy to miss stuff because there's so much stuff going on, right? So I hope you catch that video, Joyce. Great to see you in Pennsylvania. Great to see you, my friend. Um, yeah, I'm just feeling so nauseous, vertigo kind of. I hope it passes because my friend Suzette Crummell, who's the sort of one and only, known for her penny rugs, right? Making pennies like old time penny rugs. And she's had this condition I told you about ages ago when she first told me about it. It's been almost 2 years. It's like she's had vertigo for years. It's a very rare condition. And I'm thinking, oh my God, that must be awful because I've been feeling it for 3 days and it feels awful, feels so like unsteady and everything's like kind of moving and my glasses aren't helping. And I don't know. Who knows? Hopefully it's gone by tomorrow morning. That's my wish anyway. Um, yeah, it has been a busy time. Shay, there you are. There, Shay, are you feeling okay? Just want to check because we were together yesterday. I hope that you're feeling okay. Halloween candy hangover. I thought that at first that it could be because I did go out trick or treating with the kids and I did eat some candy and I had one drink, which was a beer, which is like not suspicious at all. But I was like eating over a friend's house and I did eat things I don't normally eat. And I ate pizza out, which I don't normally do either. And any little thing, like Kirsten said too, any little thing could have hit my food or whatever that was weird, that doesn't sit well. It could be anything like that. Um, yeah, I don't eat out of my normal diet thing because I'm always trying to diet. So that was a day, Shay's right, that I blasted it out and ate some really wacky, bad judgment food. Viva Halloween, right? So hopefully you're feeling okay. And Kirsten says, ribbon candy hooking Zoom on Tuesday, 11 Eastern time. So that's okay because I'm going to run this show on Wednesday at 11. So that's still good, right? Dave, great to see you. Hello, everybody. Glad to be here you're working on your quilt. I think I have enough blocks ready to piece. That is an exciting place to be. Coffee and vanilla ice cream. Oh, that sounds so nice on a Sunday night. Oh, man, so cute. And my mom says, oh, that's a great piece the crow. Yep, the crow, Sharon's crow I was just showing. Great colors. Jessica, great to see you. Welcome back. Say hi to Evie for me. And yep, I am feeling better. I just want to check on you. I don't want to be like the angel of illness. And Judy says dopamine overrides food poisoning for a few hours anyway. Yeah, something weird, but hopefully tomorrow I'm back. But I feel okay now. I feel so okay that I sat down for a while. So newsflash, right? We're about to talk about the Halloween book that came out last fall, so a year ago. And you know already that I'm working on a Halloween book for 2026. It's going to be this one was called The Haunted Rug. And we're looking at some of the pieces in here that we really have not spent any time on. So if you don't have the book, you haven't seen these pieces yet because there's over 90 patterns in this book. The whole right-hand side of the book is patterns, right, that you can trace or, however you like to copy them. When you find one that you like, that's the one from the cover. The left side of every spread is the color picture of it, a little bit of the story of why and how and what was used and all that stuff. And for mine, I have some family photos of putting up our Halloween decorations and sometimes a close up of the technique or of one of the materials. So the format of the book is just that. Every time it's like the color picture, some background photos, or some close ups that help with technique and materials on the left side, and then on the right hand side, the pattern for you. And I think there's 93 patterns in this book. So this was great fun to put together. I absolutely loved it. This is like the treasure of my life. This is the book I've always wanted to do. But if you are part of this book, you remember that it got so big so fast and I was so delighted, but I had to hold some of the patterns back for the next book because I already have about 40 for the Mystic Carpet in 2026. And you know what? 40 is obviously not enough, right? That goes without being said. Have you met me? Right? Definitely not enough. So I am working on the Mystic Carpet and I've got some images that I know I'm sending out, some patterns I'm sending out to people. People are like, what's the due date for the Mystic Carpet? It's really far out. It's going to be like, I'm going to say late August next year, 2026. So that should be a goodly amount of time. But if you're interested in doing one of those for the Mystic Carpet book, let me know because I am finally at a place where I'm going through some of the old patterns and saying, okay, nobody has been assigned this one. I need to get this pattern to someone. And I've been dreaming up new patterns. So there's a lot for you there. So that's coming up. Also tonight, when I rose from the bed, I was like Phoenix from the ashes. I was in the bed for so long today. I felt like, like something out of Dickens, right? And I rose up and I moved myself to the couch with my new tablet, which actually is amazing. It is a machine. and I love it. So that's the first time that's happened. I love it more than my phone. So easy to use. Started working on the book that we have started talking about, and it's an important book to bump up in priority. It's the book that will be called Spilling the Tea, and it is a collection of patterns that are based on early American stories, right? Because in 2026, we're celebrating the country's 250th anniversary. That's a super big deal to me. But I want to make the distinction because the world is so sort of upside down, topsy turvy right now. We're all feeling differently and strongly. And so this book is not about specifically a bunch of flags and, typical patriotic motifs. This is a book about sort of lost stories or stories about the settlement years, colonial America, and the Revolutionary period. That piece of history, just that piece of history, right? Stuff that happened in or around 1776. So I sat on the couch and I refined about 8 patterns that I had already started, and they are looking good. And I don't want to tell you what the subjects are because I really want you to be surprised. However, if you are feeling like you want to work on this specific book, Spilling the Tea, I definitely need your help. There's going to be about, I would say, 30 to 40 patterns in it, and it's more text heavy than the Haunted Rug because there will be the pattern, the finished pattern, hopefully some process photos, but there'll also be text saying like, why did I choose this story? In every pattern that's in there, like I was brainstorming with my husband today because we had to go pick up Joss from a sleepover that was like super dizzy making, but we made it and we brainstormed in the car, which helped my sanity and how I was feeling. And he was coming up with some ideas that were like, well, what about this or what about that? And I'm thinking, well, that wouldn't make a good pattern, right? Like not everything that's an idea or a great story makes a good pattern. So I'm really trying to be selective and come up with pattern ideas that speak to a specific story or sort of person in history that got lost along the way, and that would be a pleasure and fairly easy to hook. I don't have a lot of patterns in this book that are super complicated. They're more primitive. It's a more primitive style book. So if that sounds interesting to you, shoot me an email at ribboncandyhooking@gmail.com and let me know. I got to get this sweatshirt off. Sorry. I'm getting like sweaty again. Sweaty Betty. My dressed. I'm dressed. Okay. Um, Let me know if you're interested in doing that because I can show you the patterns that I have so far and we can get going on that too. So we got those 2 things happening and all the other stuff, Magpie, Laundry Line, it's all moving forward. And if you're interested in doing stuff for Magpie, make sure you watch what was it that we did our brainstorming? Was that on Wednesday? Make sure you watch Wednesday's episode because we did a 2-hour episode where we did a full hour of colossal brainstorming about the subjects for this year, 2026, the 4 issues of Magpie, and I think we nailed it. So make sure that you're up to date with all of the shout outs because I want your stuff in the magazine and in the books. Whether you're a beginner or you've been doing this forever, I want to see your good work, right? Your work from the heart, right? Whether you're brand new or not, I want to see it in the pages that are printed for the stuff that we put out. We want to see beginner work. We want to see expert work, and we want to see everything in between. So, and I think the Haunted Rug transition, I think the Haunted Rug, Shay says, I am good. Ginger tea is comforting. Yeah, that's a good idea. I should have some, right? I should have some ginger tea. That reminds me, there's a pattern I was working on right before I came to you that has to do with tea. As you would expect, the cover has a pattern that has to do with tea, and then there's a separate pattern inside that's a different pattern because obviously tea is a big subject when we're talking about 1776, right? So Shay, I'm glad that you're feeling well. I think it's a just me thing. I think it's just ate something gross, and I have to say this is one of the first times I can honestly report that I was not eating expired food out of the refrigerator, which is one of my biggies because I would rather take a chance than throw food out and waste it. That is something crazy that's in my head. You'd think I was living in like 1930, right at the beginning of the Depression, that I would do this, but I do it all the time and nothing ever happens. And I've been so good lately about throwing out food in the fridge, and now I'm sick. See, it goes to the universe is saying, don't change. We love you the way you are. Thank you, universe. Patricia, great to see you. Good evening from Binghamton, New York. Welcome. So I am excited to jump in. I've got the slideshow all ready. And again, if you're joining us a little bit later, I'm excited because we've looked at the Haunted Rug book when it first came out last year. So last, I guess, October, November. And then there's been a couple of opportunities since then, the most recent being this Halloween party where I put a bunch of the rugs up. And if you watch the live video when I was walking through our rug display, it was a substantial rug display for a 5-hour party. There were several rugs in it that were from the Haunted Rug. I also put up a Haunted Rug exhibit at Sauter Village, if you were at Sauter Village, and I did a talk on it. So there was a walkthrough talk. If you were one of those people who were at that event, that was a morning talk where I talked about the different pieces. So I've talked about several pieces quite a bit, right? The ones that I have handy, but there's so many more out of this 90 something that are in this book. There's so many more that we haven't looked at. And I don't want to talk about all of them because I hope you'll all buy the book. It's at Ribbon Candy Hooking. It's available. I have it at Ribbon Candy Hooking signed and ready to ship. It's also available on Amazon, particularly if you're in another country. You don't want to ship it from the US. You can get it in your country. And it's also available in a hardcover edition, which is more of a coffee table edition with glossy pages and a really thick hardcover. So this is more of the workbook where you're just tracing pictures out and flipping through pages. And the other one is more like if you're in it, right? Like commemorative edition. So I feel badly because there's so many pieces, right? I didn't really talk about it after October until we got to Sauter Village. There's so many pieces in this book that were so beautifully and lovingly made, and we haven't even talked about them. And again, while I won't be talking about all of the rugs that are in it, because I hope that many will be a surprise when you see them, I wanted to show you some of the ones that kind of popped into my head and made me think, that's very good for people who've been hooking forever, or alternately, that's very good for an absolute beginner, right? So let me come over here. Hold on, I'm just going to drag something to make it more convenient. There we go. All right, I'll keep an eye on our thread as well, but let's get started. Yeah, let's get started. So this is the cover, right? I just showed you the cover, and it's called so this is the first book that I self-published, like I am with Magpie Times. And the publishing sort of house, it's like just me and my husband. We're calling it Ribbon Candy Bookshelf. And I hope that I will be publishing some of other people's books too, but you know that we've got at least 2, if not 3, coming out this year under Ribbon Candy Bookshelf, and then Magpie Times comes out quarterly. So this is the first book that I did myself, and there were a lot of challenges to it. And I proofed everything as many times as I could before it came. My timeline, but I know there's typos in there which drive me nuts. My timeline was hard because I was trying to give everybody the maximum amount of time, but a lot of stuff hit me, and I would do the same. I would be hooking until the last moment, believe me. But a lot of stuff hit me like a week before the due date, and it was really hard to assimilate it all. And it was super stressful. And that's right about when I decided we wouldn't go over 200, that we were going to stay in the 190s, and that we were going to put a second Halloween book out because obviously there was a demand for it, right? A lot of people wanting to do images that had to do with this particular holiday. So I learned a lot in doing it. And it's not perfect, but you know what? I absolutely love it, and I love all the work that's in it. I'm going to start with this piece because, oh shoot, Aryan, are you there? No, of course he's not there. This piece you have seen before, but I have to say there are so many great pieces in the book. This is the piece that gets remarked upon the most often. I'm going to run for a second because I have to show you. I have to show you this because of the materials in it. Hold on one second. Just soak it in for just a minute, and I'm going to slip out from behind my desk, and I want to show you. I want to show you what I found relating to this piece. Move buttons. There he goes. There he goes. Yep, you don't want me to trip on you, believe me. I will fall down hard, honey. I will fall down so hard on you today, you little one. All right, so the reason I want to show you this one more time is it is called Bicycle Witch, but Julie Hassler, who did it, she came to the Halloween party, and she is in that video, and she gives us some crucial, I'm going to stretch this a little bit. She gives us some crucial information in the live video from the Halloween party that I posted about a week ago about the materials that she's using. So and you can see some cording, right? Some three-dimensional cording. So this piece is officially called Bicycle Witch, but she wrote a poem called Under the Cone Roof. And she made me cry at the Halloween party, holding my hands and telling me that she wrote that poem about me and for me. And yeah, it was so meaningful. It really got me. I love this piece. And one of the things that I figured out watching her at the Halloween party, and again, this isn't a video, so hopefully you can find it and watch it because it was just a week ago. She was telling me, I'm going to come back to you for a second, about this scrubby yarn. Now, I had bought scrubby yarn in every color available because I wanted to do this. And the scrubby yarn I got was very good. It's very colorful. It's very, it gives a great effect. It's a super novelty fiber, but this is weird. The little thing with the yarn came with, what is this? Oh, how cute is that? What's their little envelope with their business card? Um, I got this off Amazon. That's why I'm like, why am I getting a cute card? It's not Etsy. Anyway, I bought the wrong scrubby yarn, and there's more than one. And I could see that when I was watching her during that video, and I was watching her describe what this stuff was. So this is what the stuff was that she uses in that piece. And she had two other pieces at the Halloween party. One was called the Doodle, not the Doodle Bug, the Doodle Bird. It was called the Doodle Bird, and that will be in the upcoming Laundry Line book. And the other one was called, oh, it was one from the upcoming Mystic Carpet, Treetop Ballet with ghosts above the trees. And in those, she used some of this yarn. So let's see. I want to show you how this works. I'm not going to demonstrate it as well as she would. I want to show you, this is the only brand I found so far that does this spongy yarn. It's called Spongy Dish Yarn. Let's see if it comes in focus, the brand. And again, I got this on Amazon. It only came in a few colors. But one of the interesting things that Julie told us, come on, you stinker, at the party was that she dyes this white color with, I'll just tell you, it's Jubilee yarn. Jubilee yarn, it says in that top thing. She dyes it with Kool-Aid. Unexpected, right? Because it has a high, I think, nylon content. It has a high, it's 100% nylon. So I would say that's a high nylon content. It's 43 yards in this skein, so it's not a huge skein, but it is super shiny. I don't know if you can see that from what we are doing here. It's textured, it's shiny. You see it glistening. It's a little bit out of focus. But the interesting thing is it has inside of it, so let me cut it a little bit. Let me see if I can grab my scissors. Inside of it is like I don't want to say synthetic if it's 100%. Well, it's nylon. I guess it's nylon, just nylon. She said you could pull out a bit of roving from it. Here it goes. So when I cut the casing, right, this is the casing around the edges. It's like a little sausage. I pull it out. It has this soft sort of roving inside of it. So she hooks with both. Let me do a little bit here. See if I can pull this piece off. Yep, just like this, right? So she hooks with this stuff, and it's soft like roving, and you can hook with it, right? And it makes a good solid color. But this piece, this is the casing on it, and it's sparkly and it's empty. And she says she even pulls strips of wool, like rug hooking wool, through it, and then hooks with it with sort of the ghostly exterior or colored ones, because she dyes them and she buys the color ones. She hooks with it once she's pulled something through here, like a wool strip or like another piece of yarn. Is it time consuming? Oh my God, of course it is. But what a lot of fun, right? And if you're only doing a certain area with this technique, I mean, it just seems endless in the possibilities. So I was super excited. This came today. Again, I got this from Amazon. I got a 4-color set, and this was one of the 4. And then I got look like this. And then I got 2 more of these, which haven't come yet, because I want to try dyeing them. Probably not with Kool-Aid, but with my regular dyes, like my Pro Chems and stuff, you know. So I'll let you know how it goes. But it was so kind of her and forthcoming and beneficial to see her walk us through how she uses that fiber and gets this amazing effect, right? So yeah, so this piece is an extraordinary piece, and now I understand a little bit better about how she got this amazing effect, right? The sparkle, the thickness, the structure, right? It has some weight to it. All of these coiled pieces are really remarkable. So that is Bicycle Witch. And I have it reversed here, but this is what the pattern looks like. So just so you know, and that was my sketch that was unrefined. So there's a flawless copy in the book. But you can see you go, I know it's cropped now, but you go from something like this to this. And you can see how much imagination is in the finished piece, but you can also see how much room for play there is for you approaching a piece like this. You might see this and say, "Oh, Christy, great to see you. Great to see you. I was so happy to see your most recent posts." Um, Particularly the nurse one today. That was really fun. So when you look at a piece like this and you think, "Oh my God, that's so complicated. I'm a beginner. I could never do that." You know what? You might be wrong because this is the pattern. It just depends on what you choose to do and what materials you choose to do. So, oh, Livy Lou, I didn't say hi. You are new to the channel. I am so happy to see you. I was saying at the beginning, I'm a little bit sick right now, so I'm not as energized as usual. But I am super happy that you're there. And we're going to look at some beautiful rugs tonight from the Haunted Rug book. So Bicycle Witch remains one of my great favorites, and this is probably one of the best-selling patterns I've had, and I have to thank Julie for that. Now, this is another one that I haven't talked about yet. Oh, I forgot to put let me find it in the book. I forgot to put the original pattern. Barbara Seydoux did this in Canada, and this one is called, I think this one is called, hold on, Matisse. I think it's called Matisse Halloween. Let me find it and I'll show you. There it is. Matisse at Halloween. Now, this is an interesting one because I was trying to use, and I'm going to show you the drawing. I meant to slide it into the video, and then I got involved with being in bed and being sick. So you can kind of see the pattern on the gridded side over here. I was trying to reflect, and it touches on this in the text, that period of Henri Matisse, right, the famous artist. I was trying to touch on that period of his life when he became very, very sick. He had a stomach problem and he had stuff, pipes like, connected to his stomach, right? This is like earlier in the 20th century, not a lot of choices, but he was at home and he was bedbound and he had a lot of problems, but he still felt like he wanted to do art. And he used his cane, his walking stick. He painted paper in his bed and cut it out with a pair of scissors. And he gave it to his assistant and he pointed with his cane where he wanted it on the wall. And he continued to make compositions that became the book called Jazz. It was his book, right? I think that's his last book that he put his name on, Jazz. And it's just a collection of these really wild, colorful, very collage driven, simple silhouette pieces all in one composition. So you can see what Barbara's done color wise, piecing it together. And when you look at a pattern like this, it's another one, like hopefully all of the patterns in this book, where you say to yourself, "Oh, I know what colors I would use." And you know what else? It's a great pattern to treat as a hit or miss because you only need a little bit of any one material. Even the background could just be a mixture of darks. But talk about a good Halloween hit or miss pattern. You've got like this sort of devil mask, you've got the pumpkin, you've got the owl, and you've got a bunch of Matisse-esque shapes in it. And you can do all those with your scrappies left over from all your other projects, right? So Matisse at Halloween, that's one that I have not talked about yet. And I wanted to bring that forward as a possibility for hit or miss, because why not? It reminds me of like the Gee's Bend project that we did, all of the different directions you could go with whatever colors you've got left over, right? Maybe the colors that you don't reach for very often might be the right ones to use in a piece like that. This is another piece. It's called, which I think it's called Witch's Brew. Let me just check. So my buddy Shannon Carter did this one. Is it Witch's Brew? I'm so bad. I can't even remember. See, if I was feeling a little bit better, my brain would be working a little bit better. Let me see if I can find it really quick. This is one of the first Halloween patterns I did. This is when ribbon candy hooking was brand new. I did this, I think, in 2020, and I did a video around that time where I showed how I was fooling around with a piece of tracing paper and folding it in half. And hold on one second. I'm distracted because I want to find this piece to tell you what the actual name is. Of course, if you have the book, it's in the book, so you're going to find it in there, but still. I was experimenting with the very idea of a primitive that's symmetrical, which means you fold it in half and it's exactly the same side to side. I'm always in, and this is a little bit different. She hooked it a little bit different side to side. I'm always interested in symmetry in art because Strange Brew, this one is called Strange Brew. And this is the pattern for this one. It's just like that. I won't show you the pattern for all of them because, sorry, there's a shadow because of all the lights in here for nighttime. But it's got two crazy flowers on this side, and it's got the cauldron in the center, and the cauldron has all of these plumes of wacky smoke, right? Very suspicious smoke coming out of it. But it's an example of how, even with a Halloween piece, because Halloween is really synonymous with over the top, crazy colors, detail, and it doesn't have to be. For people who still prefer the primitive style but like to do something that has a bit of a Halloween feel to it, a piece like this is perfect because you can still hook it with your super wide cuts. You can hook it with your very sort of somber color palette. Shannon did it a little bit brighter, even with some neons and stuff around the edges of the smoke. The smoke looks like worms, right? And you can make sort of adaptations. She made the trees in silhouette. And like many early rug hooking designs, this one has a central image, which is the brew, and then it has two side borders, not four, but two. And those two side borders are big. They're almost the same size as the central motif. And that is the case with a lot of the earliest rugs that we find, because many of the earliest rugs that we find are pieces of feed sack sewn together to make them much larger. So you get this kind of a dimension. So this one works this way too. And there's not a ton of primitives in this book. I would say maybe 1/10 of the patterns in this book are truly primitive. Oh, I had the cauldron vase here. So yeah, I did this sketch in 2020, and I remember that. It was before COVID, so it must have been early in 2020. I remember that because I remember sitting and drawing it, and I didn't have a mask on, and I don't remember feeling stressed like the world was about to end. Um, but yeah, there's a few from this book that I'll show you that are from that early ribbon candy hooking period. This is not one of those. This is one that I did later. And as it says in the book, this is hooked by April Bloom. I'm going to show you at the same time. Oh, wait a minute. I was going to show you. Hold on. How did I do that? Wait a minute. I'm coming back. I'm coming back. Hold on. I'm just going to, I wanted to move these so I could show you more than one at once. April Bloom hooked this. Sorry, and this was an idea I had from my aunt who passed away, my aunt Joan. She had this beautiful painting in her house. It was a collage, and it was in this big frame. It was big white thing, huge, and it had either 9 or 16 individual watercolor paintings of the same woman with a background like patterned wallpaper behind her. Each one was different. She looked different in every one. Her skin color was different, her hair, the wallpaper in the background, the pattern on her dress, everything was different. And I loved that when I was growing up. I loved it. And then she suddenly passed away, and when we went to deal with the house and everything, that was one of the many things that was not there anymore, and we don't know where it went. But it was a piece that I always loved, and I wished that I could see one more time again, if only to photograph it. It was a great inspiration piece for me when I was a child. And I thought about that when I did this piece. I drew just a silhouette, like just a little round head and the shoulder bust of one character, and I moved it into 9 spots that I called Halloween Hollywood Squares. Remember that show? And I put a different costume on each one of them. So it becomes kind of a joke, a repeat, right? And April did so many interesting things with this. She added those plastic spider rings to the corner, right? You see the 4 corners. And she used a lot of crazy novelty yarn. You can see that on the right. You can also see that she did some embroidery and some hooking. Besides all the wacky materials that she used, I'm going to try to show you another close-up. Let me bring this one over. She used a lot of different crazy fibers, but she also stitched right on the, I think this is rug warp. So another possibility, and if you're thinking, oh, wait a minute, how does that look from a distance? Does that look okay? It does look okay. Let me close this for a second. It looks more than okay, right? So the fact that you can leave some of the background bare it's an interesting choice and example for us, because this is a technique that we can borrow, right? You're seeing more and more of this lately. It's a great idea because when you've got really fine detail, if you just don't want to do it, or you feel like you are talented with other kinds of sister crafts like needle art, you can do a little bit of embroidery or do something different in areas that worry you. And certainly with a piece like this Halloween piece, add jewels, add spiders, add crazy ribbons. So all kinds of things on, right? Because why not? So that piece is called Halloween Hollywood Squares. This piece is a much more traditional piece. This is Maud Lewis's Halloween. Now, this is like a composite of Maud Lewis motifs. This includes many of the things that she did in her pieces, right? She did a piece that she painted at least two paintings with this little truck, and it was the same truck, right? And it was a truck that I think she refers to from her wedding day as well. But this might have been her husband's truck. I can't remember the details, but this truck exists in some of her compositions. We don't know how many, but at least two. So she does a lot with the truck. To my knowledge, she never did anything with pumpkins. But this being a Halloween book, she also did a lot, as you know, with village scenes, very flat village scenes. So the one in the background is a lot busier than any of her paintings, right? She does village scenes that are busy, but she typically does those compositions not in this way with layers of um, um, I'm sorry, this is me being sick and not working well. Layers of interest, for example, the bottom with the pumpkins, and then the next layer up is the street with the vehicle, and then the next layer up is the ground, is the grass, and the final layer is the sky. So she would put a truck into this composition, but she wouldn't put this busy of a village into the background. If she was going to show you a village like this, she would do the composition with the road running through like a ribbon, almost like the aerial view. You know what I mean? So I kind of put a composite together because I wanted to show in this what it would feel like if you lived inside a Maud Lewis painting and you were driving in the little green truck. And Becky wrote something beautiful in the Haunted Rug book about how I can't remember the details, but I remember when I read it, I thought it was gorgeous. She picked this because there was a green truck in her life that looked just like this as a child. And she tells that part of her story in this chapter. So she really wanted to hook this piece. And it was a great love match, right? I love making great love matches with people, no matter what book you're working on. I love to match it up with something that means something to you because I think it'll bring the best out of you and that you'll enjoy it much more working on it if there is a sincere like passion for that specific pattern, you know. And in this case, there was. So a little bit of a pumpkin bling border at the bottom, pumpkins in the back of the old truck, and in the distance, a pretty busy village. But all of these are buildings that are reminiscent of Maud's village scenes, right? And the trees are a little different than Maud did them. And of course, she often worked in colors that were wrong because she was limited by paints that her husband could find down at the marina. She always used boat paint. And when the paint color wasn't available, she ended up painting the trees crazy colors. Sometimes autumn colors in the snow, sometimes spring colors in the autumn. But in this case, it is very cohesive. All of the colors are autumny, right? But you could do it any way you want. It'd be a fun piece if you're a big Maud Lewis fan, if you're a Canadian who has a real sort of close love for Maud and you know her work well. It would be a fun piece to do the trees in a different season because confusion of seasons is one of the big sort of tropes in Maud's work, right? It was done accidentally, but nonetheless it exists in many of her pieces. Sharon, great to see you. You started collecting, taking pictures and cutting strips for the laundry line. Fantastic. I love to see that one coming together, and that will come out as soon as everybody's ready and done with it. I'm not in any huge hurry with that one. The Cozy Quilt. This is another one. So the last one was hooked by Becky Burrell, and this one is also hooked by Becky. I'm going to show you, oops, wait a minute. Sorry, I thought I was going to show you, sorry, the pattern at the same time. Nope, I'm going to move it over to the center. No, I'll just leave it there. You can see it, right? The Cozy Quilt. Let me pull this one up for you too. It's a simple design. This is not a symmetrical, of course, but it's almost a symmetrical. And it's one that could be good for beginners. It's a good one for primitive, right? For people who like primitive hooking. And hold on one second. Ooh, the Cozy Quilt. Sorry. I forgot how with this program, if you put the word the in front of it, then it starts with the letter T. You know what I mean? Irritating. So this is the drawing for the Cozy Quilts. And of course, you could do your squirrels in any color with this piece. It doesn't even have to be a complicated piece. I did a lot with motifs on this piece. If you weren't going to do it large, and particularly if you're a beginner, you would want to simplify the quilt squares in this piece. For sure you would, right? But it might be that you even want to substitute some of the quilt squares for stories in your life, because as we've said so many times, particularly during our quilt section recently on this show, how so many traditional quilt blocks have names that you connect with. Because, for example, I was born in the Netherlands. My husband is Dutch. My kids were born in the Netherlands. Dutchman's Puzzle is a great favorite of a quilt block in this house for that reason. And you probably have quilt blocks that, for whatever reason, they fit family members or your life story. This is a good opportunity to make the Cozy Quilt blocks that have to do with you and your life. Also, if I were going to do that one, I would make two black squirrels because I am obsessed. Locally, they're it's like a hereditary thing having a black squirrel, right? Normally they're like brown or gray for us around here. I know there's white ones further down the coast, but when you see the black ones, I always think that they're little cats, and then I'm like, oh, that's a squirrel, and they are so cute. So I would make mine because I have such a passion for these little black squirrels. They're so aggressive, but they're so cute. And we would all do it a different way, right? That is the beauty of all of these patterns. But this is a fun one for someone who's also a quilter. And of course, you don't have to put any picture into it. You could just put solid blocks and put your two little squirrels at the top. So this one is called the Cozy Quilt, and this could easily be done as a primitive, without a doubt. This is another one that could be done easily as a primitive. This is, let me see if I can show you. Okay, so this one was done by Rebecca Frederick. This is another very simple design, right? This is kind of a joke piece that is meant to experiment with. It is literally a drawing of, let me grab it here. This one is called Choices. And the whole, I opened right to it. Can you believe that? I opened right to it. This is the pattern here. Very simple pattern. The whole point of it is like, here's the scarecrow, and the scarecrow gets to choose which head or which face or which motion she wants to wear. So the choices are among the heads. Now you could do this piece and put a head on the pumpkin, or have one of the heads be missing, right? That would be up to you. It's almost like dressing a doll, this piece. But Choices was hooked by Rebecca Frederick, and she made it into a pillow. You see, she added bats to one of the clouds too, which is, oh, Goretti, great to see you. Great to see you. Hi to Mike too. You can see she added bats to one of the clouds after the first picture, right? She did that in the second picture. Oh, it looks like she added a spider onto the dress too in the second picture. Funny, I didn't notice that before. That is so cute. But this could be done in any sort of color, right? It could be a night scene, a day scene. The pumpkins are different colors, and we are seeing pumpkins that come in so many different colors these days, right? But another piece, a storytelling piece that is very, very, very simple. So this is one of the things that I try to do most often at my brand, is come up with ideas for designs that are not overly complicated, but that are whimsical, and give the person who's making them a lot of options and a lot of places where you can infuse your personality, because that's a really big deal to me. Um, this is another piece I really love. This is a piece that my husband drew, actually. The original one, I worked off of a drawing that he did in the car that I just loved. This is called Chance Meeting. And it's you can see it's a chance meeting between a fox who's rather curious and a little sort of woodland character, like a little troll or a pixie or some little character that is wearing a leaf as a shawl. And Candace did a beautiful job hooking this up. This one could be done in so many different ways as well. The red fox, I think, is a given, but the little character could be done in so many different ways. I love him in these sort of magical woodland colors. He's got a little acorn beret on, but I could also see this with an orange sky or with a light sky and more autumn colored leaves. I can see it in 1,000 different ways. I always love to see the way that things are hooked, and I love to see things hooked multiple times. because I don't think of all the ways, right? We all think of different ways to do stuff. Candace did something interesting in the sky, though, between the blues and the sort of grays and the highlights. Really interesting. You could add leaves to this too, more leaves if you wanted to, or berries, right? You could add words. It would be, yeah, whatever struck you. Jessica says it would be so fun to make pumpkin heads removable with snaps or Velcro. Yeah, that would be really fun, and that would be great. That would be great for little kids, right? Using pumpkins to talk about emotions, right? Something that, particularly in our house with an autistic child, at least one. We're still waiting on Joss's whatever, but emotion is something that is really hard for kids to talk about, and it's hard for them to understand, and for some grown-ups too. So that would be really, really fun, being able to change the faces, and to even say like, I'm grumpy today, or this is a really happy day for me. That would be a great thing and a great gift. Paper dolls, yeah, exactly. That pattern had so many possibilities for that too. I only like optioned out the head, but I could have optioned out. I could have done like a clothesline with different clothing too, so it was more like a paper doll thing. Of course, Mandy's paper doll is in this book as well. I know you know that one. I wasn't going to show it tonight because we've looked at it a lot, but now I have to show it because I mentioned it. QRS. Okay, so P is before. Yes. Paper. Okay. Paper. Come on. What is it called? Isn't it called? Oh, it's called Halloween paper dolls. Where do I come up with these names? Just kidding. Just kidding. I did it. I did it to myself. This one you recognize for sure. So this is definitely one of the patterns in this book that I would not classify as a beginner pattern, right? If you have patience, right, and you can be kind to yourself, then you can get this done as a beginner. But I wouldn't automatically say for everybody that this would be a good beginner pattern. I wouldn't touch this pattern, but I do love it. Paper dolls. I never get tired of paper dolls. It's one of my favorite subjects because it connects us so much with childhood, doesn't it? The idea of paper dolls. All of those toys, right? All of the fun things we played with as children that you could swap things out. This is another fun piece. This is by Catherine Perez. This is called Midnight Ride. So, like the ride of Paul Revere, right? And that's a subject we'll talk about in the upcoming Spilling the Tea book. But this is the midnight ride of a cat who is dressed up like the Bride of Frankenstein, right? With the crazy hair. Who's that? Who's that in Young Frankenstein? Oh, come on. That played, you know who I mean, not Terry Garr. She was like the farm girl, the assistant. I know one of you will tell me, but that kind of a crazy hairstyle. And this cat, so this is another thing, paper doll style that you could do. Madeline Kahn, right? Madeline Kahn. This is another one that you could do in any style you like. Um, the costume is just like a basic frock, right? Thank you. Yes, you got it. You got it. No, Cloris Leachman, Jessica, was the Frau Brucke or something like that. She was also also great. That was such a great cast. Oh my God. This is another one that you could do a different hairstyle, or you could keep the Bride of Frankenstein hairstyle. Catherine blinged out the hair, blinged out the mask, put a lot of bling and feathers into the costume. Has a real sort of masquerade, wild look to it. You could change the costume on this cat if you wanted to. I just put a basic frock on her, so it could just be like, I don't know, a black dress or whatever, and the crazy wig. But this is another one that you could do whatever you want to. And the broom, the broom, Catherine did a really great job. I don't know what those swirls are in the broom, but I absolutely love them. I also love the binding around the broom itself. And then the way it resolves into those curls is crazy to me. Like, it looks fantastic. And I really love the houses below and the little bit of pink showing before you get to that kind of periwinkle blue of the sky. I think that is so fun. You notice she did her stars in crazy colors too, right? So full throttle on the crazy colors, right? It's Halloween, why not? You probably can't tell from the picture, but there is like a black veil swirling out from the costume like a cape. There's like a triangular shape going horizontal, and that's like a mesh black veil. So more paper dolls for you, right? When you get a pattern like this, if you have a better idea or an idea that you think you would like to do differently, then you just take out your Sharpie and you change it, right? You don't worry about what's drawn. You go and do what you think is best, right? That's the only way to do it. I'm going to move this over because it's really far in that direction. Sorry about that. When I was doing this, I was sitting in the sun and I was having a hard time seeing my screen. I think that's why some of them are off center. I'm sorry about that. This is another really cool piece that I would say is another one that would not instinctively be a beginner piece for me if I was recommending one to an absolute beginner. This is called Halloween at the Coop. And you see what's going on here. It's a chicken coop. So it's a side view, it's a cutaway side view, like a dollhouse view of a chicken coop. And there are a ton of chickens in there having a Halloween party. It's a costume party. So it's so much fun that they're laying eggs all over the place, right? And there is a string of lanterns. So the place is decorated. I'll show you the line drawing for this too. This is a busy composition that for me, I had this idea for ages and I just passed it. Wait a minute. I just loved the idea, thinking about how different animals would celebrate holidays and how would chickens celebrate Halloweens? Because I think like, oh, everybody loves their chickens, right? This is what the pattern looks like. And again, I'm sorry for the shadows, but it is. I do have lights on me tonight. You see the pattern, the lanterns from the roof, from the rafters, right? And you see there's a window, there's a ladder, there's different levels where the different characters are hanging out, and there's eggs all over the place, which obviously must be the sign of a good time among chickens. And so this is a tricky one that you could either keep all of the chickens that I put in, or you could get rid of some chickens. You could adjust it however you wanted. This might be something that somebody who's a newer hooker would want to just take one or two of the chickens, blow them up and put them in the front, and then take all of the other chickens out, because the building is going to be an easy thing to hook. And the lanterns, not this detailed, but with less detail, would be easy to hook. This was hooked by Debbie Wilbur, and she just did an absolutely expert job. There's a lot of prati on here. So there's a lot of high relief. There's a lot of detail on here. This was a very large piece. I just closed the book, but it says in the book how large it was. I love the way it has, I don't want to say a creche because that sounds sacrilegious, but it does have that kind of dollhouse cutaway, right? My mom says the chicken rug is so great, so whimsical, and the detail is crazy. It's meant to be funny. There's right in the center, there's an astronaut chicken. And next, he's speaking to a ghost chicken who's just got like a sheet. To the left of them is a witch chicken with a broom. Down below is kind of a beefeater chicken, like a British, dandy. And then in the middle, a 1920s couple, like with a pink dress, like a flapper. And he's very dapper, like in a waistcoat. He might have a monocle in the drawing. That would be ridiculous, right? Over on the right is a Shakespearean with the Elizabethan puff sleeves and the Elizabethan ruff. Over on the right, up above, I forgot what those chickens are meant to be. There's a mermaid on the left. But anyway, when you see, maybe on the right, a butterfly. But it's just all crazy, crazy ideas. And with something this big, Debbie blew it up quite a bit to get the detail in it. And the reason she took it was because she has chickens and she loves chickens. So again, that sort of passion match, like, it hits you in the heart and you think, okay, this is the one for me. But yeah, this is one of the more sort of advanced patterns in the book. And there really are not a ton of them in this book or in any of my books. I tend to go, Jessica, let me see. I just closed the book when I started talking about that. Let me see if I can find it quickly. Halloween, what was it called? Halloween at the Coop. Let me see. Halloween at the Coop. She did it 20 by 23. So that's not huge, actually. That's not enormous. I'm just going to take a quick sip of water. But it's a good size. So 24, that's 2 rulers, right? That's pretty big. And it's a fairly fine cut, I think. I love the shading she did on the barn. And I love the shading she did in the sky. It's looking so neat. Oh, one of my pumpkins just fell off the mantle. Hold on, let me get them back up. Here we go. So pretty. So again, that was Debbie Wilbur. This is Deborah Pace. This is definitely a primitive pattern, but it doesn't have to be. This piece is a long, skinny piece, and this is called The Trouble with Harriet. And this is a joke on my favorite Alfred Hitchcock movie, The Trouble with Harry, but this is The Trouble with Harriet. You can see what she's got several problems, right? One of them is she's a pumpkin head. That's rough. And the other one is she appears to be deceased. So there's at least two troubles happening in this one piece. With this piece, you could, let me see if I can find the pattern. If you were making it bigger, you could put detail onto the tombstones. And that would be up to you. I think it would have to be quite a bit bigger, right? I think I might have detail on the drawing, right? That's only for truly crazy people. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can find it. The Trouble. Gosh, there's a lot of patterns in this book. There we go. Yeah, I'll show you the original drawing. The original drawing is crazy because, again, it would need to be really big to get Mona Lott, R.I.P. I'd have done it. Chuck Steak, that's a joke from my mom. Kitty Litter, right? Those were the two characters, Chuck Steak and Kitty Litter, that my mom and dad were at a murder mystery weekend years ago. And Pearl E. Gates. So, and in the background, a row, instead of fencing, a background of lamb's tongues. That could be done in any way. So this, in theory, could be a very complicated pattern. You see there's shadows in front of each stone as well. But it could also be done in a much more primitive way. And everything in between. I love the way here that Deborah Pace has done it. I love the colors. She's got the shadows in there. She's done the lamb's tongues in really bright colors. I think that's super fun. The color palette really strikes me in this, and I love the three-dimensional sort of bling on Harriet's head, like her stump. She's got like a sort of spider headdress or something on. Super fun, super fun. And again, I just love seeing the way things come back to me because it's often different than I'm thinking. I'm always overcomplicating things in my mind. And when people send things back, I go, of course, that was really smart. So this is another one that plays with the idea of tombstones as lamb's tongues. And this one is called Gravestone. I think it's called Gravestone Sampler. And this is a super fun piece, Hooked with Yarn by Deborah Reamer. And I love this piece because in the center, it could either just be the center composition, which is the three gravestones, and then two ghosts behind the hill that are also shaped like gravestones. And I think this might be punched, but the suggestion of that sort of deep graphic carving of the folk artist, the gravestone cutter, right? In the background, you can see the silhouette of trees, but really, oh, hey, Buttons. Oh, hey, honey, I didn't know you were in here, you little sweet pea. And in mixed sort of autumny, variegated yarn, the coloring of the trees, right? Really spooky. The earth is brown, right? It doesn't have like that green grass. It is definitely autumn. There's sparkle wool or yarn in the border. If you didn't want the border and you wanted a simpler piece, you could just do the central piece. If you do like the border, then you put the two sides on, right? And then you've got two sort of almost symmetrical borders. But the way that this design plays is that every few gravestones is, oh, Gail, great to see you. Every few gravestones is actually a ghost and not a gravestone. So it's almost like the ghosts are popping up in place of the gravestones, and it's a play on the shape of a gravestone. So I really love this piece too. I really do. And the gravestones that in the border that are gravestone colored are also done as lamb's tongues, but in the gravestone colors, right? So this piece plays with shape, and like the piece before it, it can really be done as a primitive piece or as a very complicated piece. It depends on what you want to do and where you want to go with size and what tool you want to hold in your hand, whether it's a very, very fine hook or it's a large punch or, again, anything in between. Again, this is Deborah Reamer, who did Gravestone Ghosts. That's what it is, not Gravestone Sampler, Gravestone Ghosts. Gail, it is great to see you. This is a fun piece. This is a really fun piece. So this is Bubble Bubble. And this was hooked by Gay Cobb. Now, before we look at the piece, I just want to show you the drawing. So the drawing in the book is of, it says Bubble Bubble, and it's of a cauldron. And there's these three kind of cartoon sort of Roald Dahl style witches standing around it. Who knows what's in that cauldron, right? And when Gay picked this piece, she loved it. And she said, I really want to do it, but I really want to do it as a teapot. Is that okay? And of course I said, of course it's okay. So she changed it to a teapot, which I wish I had done in the first place because I think it's so much cuter. And she changed the text to just say Halloween, Halloween tea. So it's got this strong tea theme, which is so cute, and little leaves fluttering around. The witches are so whimsical, right? So much fun, so much energy in this piece. I love the material, right? The material is very, very different, large cut, thinner cut, wild. It's just wild and energetic. In the background, she's kind of stabilized everything with these horizontal. Oh, I hear sirens. This is the first time I've heard sirens living in this house because it's so quiet here. Hope everybody's okay. Oh, God, that reminds me. You know what happened yesterday? I'm going to tell you this horrible story in case this happens to you. So, um, updates, right? This is an awful story. So yesterday, I can see now that the trees have lost their leaves. I can see way down the mountain into the town. That's where the sirens are. We got home from something. We had to do something. We went back and forth to drop Joss off for the sleepover, and got home, and I was not feeling well, and sat down. I was trying to get some work done, and he was fooling around with his phone because he's like changing his phone. And all of a sudden, the phone rang, and it was the police, and I could hear it because he accidentally had it on speaker. And they said, "Did you call 911?" And of course, he's Dutch with a Dutch accent and everything. It like surprised him, and he got him nervous, and he said, "No, I no." And he sounded very suspicious, right? Because it surprised us. And then the policeman on the phone or whoever was answering the call said, "Well, I'm not making this up, right? Nothing against policemen, but it was like, well, somebody called 911. Who's there with you? And either you called on purpose or you called by mistake. Was it a mistake?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, I just said it was a mistake." And he's like, "Are you sure it was a mistake?" And then I got triggered. And because it was on speaker, right, I can't help myself even when I should. And I said, "For God's sake," I said, a little more colorful than this. "We're sitting here relaxing. I'm not feeling well. My husband obviously just dialed by accident. We are both here. We are fine. Thank you." And he was like, "Okay, okay, ma'am." And 5 minutes later, we heard the noise from the Ring thing, right? Because we watch it in case there's bears outside when the kids are outside, or we let the dog, we don't let him out alone, but if he's out on the porch or something, I want to know if there's a bear in the yard. So the ring light went off, and Arian said, "God dang it, it's like two cops coming up our driveway," which is like a roller coaster steep. And they were so super nice. They were so super nice. It was definitely not the person I spoke to on the phone. I was trying to like catch us in a lie. I so wanted to say, like, you can't in these moments, but I so wanted to say everybody's okay here except for the person I just like decapitated. But you can't say those things, right? Because then you really get in trouble. And I thought, well, surely they're not going to send anybody, but they did send these two guys, and they were the nicest two guys. And you know what happened? And we found this out from Googling it. If you, no, don't do this to try it. If you turn your phone on and off the power 5 times in a row, it calls 911 to the police. That, at least that's an update on his phone. I don't know if my phone does it, and I'm not going to try, but apparently many phones have this new update as of like the last few days, that if you press that power button 5 times, it will call the police. So be careful with that, because it sort of got us into trouble. I was very stressed after that happened. As nice as they were, it stressed me out. I wasn't feeling well. It stressed me out. Nobody likes it when police come to the house and police are calling. It's like, we're having a quiet night and I wasn't feeling well. Anyway, look out for that power button. Particularly if you do like screenshots and stuff, because when you try to do a screenshot, you have to hit one button on each side. You could easily press that button 5 times. I mean, I know I could when I take screenshots of what I'm looking at. You don't want that to happen, right? So anyway, scary. Um, I don't know what reminded me of that with this particular piece, but oh, it was the sirens outside. Anyway, I love the way that Gay Cobb did this piece, and I love the way that she had this great original idea to give these witches a Halloween tea rather than a bubble cauldron. And why not, right? It's the same kind of a vessel. It makes perfect sense. I love this piece. Another one of the great. I love every piece in this book, I have to say. I love this piece by Holly Garman. This is called Snail Rider. This is one of the last pieces I did to put into this book. Holly did one other piece in the book that I really loved. She was she did the other piece so well as well. I can't remember. Okay, I can, but I know I have a full show, so I'm going to hold on it. I'm just going to show you this one by Holly. She was anxious to do a second piece, and I was like, I I want to do, let's do a second one. I said, let me look through my sketchbook and see some of the ideas that I was working on. And I found this little witch writing on the back of a snail. And I said, well, how do you feel, about snails and mushrooms? And she said, great. She said, right up her alley. I want to do this one. So I sent it to her and she hooked this up. I don't think I put the picture of this in. It looks exactly like this. She hooked it up so pretty with this kind of blue snail, and he's got kind of a bluish purple shell, and she's got stripy pantyhose on the witch, and the witch has these fluffy sleeves. She's got these sort of princess sleeves on the witch. She's really almost like riding a parade float. She's very regal looking, very happy, settled up there. Holly did a nice amount of outlining versus not, and she did a beautiful texture in the background of this piece as well. One of the things that she did that she was really happy with was the mushrooms, the base of the mushrooms, because the mushrooms in the drawing had this kind of tapered, clumpy taper where they go in, out, in, out, in, out, like the stems of these actual mushrooms. And so she wanted to really show the shape and the sort of filigree, feathery quality to the stems. So she appliqued felt or wool felt onto it in the same shape and kind of trimmed it. So those mushroom stems are sewn on because for her, the dimension of the mushrooms was important to make them look quite tall compared to the witch. It's not your everyday witch, it's a little pixie kind of a witch, right? So Gail says, cute, cute. My pace at the moment. Oh, absolutely. I love the kind of crossover between things that are witchy. I'm not that into scary stuff and horror stuff. I'm not into it all. I like to cross over with supernatural stuff like little witches, little pixies, fairies, trolls, gnomes, all that kind of stuff. I find that stuff quaint and sweet and charming. Um, and Karen says, quite, quite rightly, but how nice that they sent a car out, right? Because he could have been strangling me, right? And they wouldn't have known that. So it is nice that they sent the car out. Of course, I would have killed him and then we would have had a different problem. But there could have been a real problem. I'm already thinking of scenarios where you might wish a car was, yeah, no, you're right. You're right. The thing I didn't like was the way the guy was talking to us on the phone because it was like he was trying to trip us up. Like we were lying about saying we accidentally did this, that made the call. And he kept trying to trip him up. And with him speaking in a second language and being nervous, I felt like he was sounding more and more guilty. And then it was making me very nervous. And I was just way not feeling well. So I was just less, what do I want to say, like sort of leeway than usual. I just immediately snapped and got ugly. But when the guys came, they were super, super nice guys. They did make me nervous. They said, "Oh, you're new here," because this is a small town, and we were talking about the house and everything. And I said, and I said, "What should down at the bottom of the driveway? There's a mirror, so when I pull out, I can see if there's cars coming because it's kind of a blind corner, and I'm coming down a very steep driveway." And I said, what can I do in the morning because like the mirror is misty and I can't really see. And he's like, well, you can put reflectors, you could do this and that. And he was giving me some ideas. And I said, I'm already worried about this driveway in the winter. And he said, I would be too. I said, that's not what I was hoping you would say. I was hoping you would say, oh, don't worry about it. It's a paved road. You're good. I'm going to have to be very careful this winter, I'll tell you. But yeah, you're right, Karen. And they were super, super nice. I was just so stressed, so stressed. And I was like worried for him, right? Because even though with everything going on, he's Dutch, he works at Yale, but he's not from here. And it was like I just felt like he couldn't react quick enough, and he was getting really stressed. So it really made me defensive and crazy for a minute. But yeah, it was nice. In the end, it was a nice visit. Hey, hey. All right, moving on to you bringing me something else to drink?
Yeah, want more water? You want something else?
No, but you know what? I still have water in here, but I'm gonna take this straw.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You want something else? Like
No, I'm
grapefruit
pull
juice?
that for me. Yeah, give me some grapefruit juice, will you? I'd love that. Mm, I love this piece too. This is one of the other true primitives in the book. Oh shoot, what did I call this one? This is Joan Richardson hooked this one. Gosh, what did I call this one? Oh, I'm never going to remember, and I didn't write it down here. Isn't that awful? Hold on one second. Let me see if I can find it. So Joan Richardson loves primitives and finger flower bouquet. That's what this one is called. So she specifically asked for one that she could do in the primitive style with mostly primitive colors. And I thought, Could I interest you? I'm like someone crazy from behind an apothecary counter, right? Could I interest you in this crazy little stone vase with like poisonous mushrooms coming out of it? And she was like, yes, actually, that's just what I'm looking for. So she took finger flower bouquet and she did it in the primitive style. I love the shapes. I love the expression on the vase. I love the uneven lamb's tongues around the edges. Um, this book, Gail, is my Halloween book that came out last year, The Haunted Rug. These are all from The Haunted Rug. We've got a big glare. And this should be in Australia as well on Amazon, though. So it ships locally. Oh, my favorite glass. Right, we have 4 of these. None of them broke yet, right?
No.
My favorite glass in the world, our little sort of 1960s glasses. Mm, yep, just plain grapefruit, nice and sharp. So Joan Richardson, again, had a good love match with this piece because she's a real primitive person. I love to think about things that could be made into a bouquet that are unusual things. And for Halloween, I feel like there's lots of choices, right? There's all kinds of poisonous plants, killer plants, crazy mushrooms, all kinds of things that could be sticking out of a vase that shouldn't be there. That's one of the interesting and fun things about designing for Halloween is that sort of leap of faith quality of the holiday. It's like you know what is real and what should be, but things at Halloween maybe are not quite what they seem, right? Everybody gets to be somebody different, and the lines are blurred between reality and fantasy, and that's something that's fun to play with in rug hooking designs as well. This is another fun one that I didn't honestly think anyone would take this pattern, but I had to offer it because I loved it myself. This is called Swag Hag, and this was hooked by Joelle Stratton in Canada. And this, again, it was just a perfect match thing. I felt I had to do it because my son Teddy, for years, his computer sort of, not code name, but like login name, or you know, when your name pops up, like your names are popping up here, his was Swag Hag. And I always thought, where the hell did he get that from? Like, how does he even know like the word swag, right? But I guess all kids know the word swag. But I thought it was so funny. It made me laugh so hard. And then the more I talked about it and told people that his name was Swag Hag, he immediately changed it. And it hasn't been Swag Hag for years. But I remember that it was. So I thought, well, what if I actually did a Swag Hag and I had this witch character who was loaded up with merch, like bags of shopping and this dress and swag, right, that she got from somewhere. So she's basically a shopping witch that's loaded up with bags, and all the different bags have Halloween motifs on them. And Joelle said she really wanted to take this piece because she's a big shopper, in fact, and particularly for holidays and things. And she said all of her colleagues make fun of her because, you know, she's known as like, I don't know. I feel like in the book she said that they do call her Swag Hag or something like that. It was something really similar. And she thought, oh, this is me. So she took this one and she hooked it with crazy fiber. She did the hair with, I love that hair. I really love that hair. And you see how on the bottom of the dress, the skirt part of the dress, she has like an overlay of spider web. How cute is that? And in the top left corner, she added a little spider web. I mean, it's so. Teddy, I'm doing a show in here. That's okay. It's so cute, and she's almost like out in the city or something. She's like on the pavement, and it's a dark night, and she's got all her bags, and she's running home with all of her treasures, like all of her shopping. Just thought it was a really cute piece. It's not. It's definitely not for everyone, and it was one of the last pieces to be taken. So when Joelle took it, I was really happy because I associate this piece with Teddy too, even though it's obviously visually has nothing to do with him. I thought it was a really fun piece, and this is one of the pieces I'm looking forward to having some time to hook someday. I'm probably going to hook it really big. I love that piece. And Judy did a great job with this piece called Parliament of Owls. So Parliament is the plural of owls, right? So, but no, this is called Paisley Parliament. Sorry. A parliament is the plural of owls, but this piece is called Paisley Parliament. And with this piece, and Judy, this is such a beautiful job with Paisley Parliament. With this piece, I wanted to combine the idea of a traditional rug, just like a classic paisley hooked rug, with owls, right? And try to do it in a way that at first glance it looks like a more traditional rug. And at second glance, you realize that it's a really playful rug where there's a whole bunch of owls, but it's done within the sort of structure framework, the blueprint of a much more traditional rug. So it is just that central oval with the two paisleys and then four paisleys coming out of it. And you've got your corners and you've got your narrow border, just like any other, hooked rug. But this rug has two moons, two stars, and a whole bunch of owls, a whole parliament of owls popping up all over the place. I think it is so fun, so cute, such a funny idea. You getting what you need in there, Ted?
Yep.
Okay.
A big old thing of fruit juice.
Yeah, okay. Did you have some water today too besides fruit juice?
I had it.
Okay, good. Plenty of water, right?
Yep.
Yep. I'm driving crazy. I just love the piece, and I love the colors as well. And I was kind of, yeah, and Gail says she loves the colors too. I was kind of experimenting with how far can you go, just drawing out the rug with the center, with the paisleys, and the paisleys. Without the owls, if you can picture it without the owls, you've got a very traditional rug, right? And Judy says, I love the way the heads pop in. So curious. Absolutely. Yeah, it's got more of a storytelling quality now too, but it's piggybacking off of a design that is familiar to one that all of us know, right? Just very, very basic. So it is funny and it is a fun experiment and it's something that you might want to try. Just drawing out the basic lines of a traditional hook rug, right? Sort of an Eastern inspired hook rug, and seeing how far you can go with playing with it, seeing what else you can put in there while it still kind of maintains the overall look and patterning of a much more traditional rug. I love this piece. And moving on to my buddy Kathy Lynch did, oops, wait a minute. I should only, this one is off center again. Hold on. Did I really do that? I guess I did. Hold on one second. I thought I had the drawing of that too. Oh, I was going to put the drawing there. That was it. That was it. And then I ran out of time. So this is Kathy Lynch in New Hampshire, my buddy. She did, I'll show you the picture in the book, BFW. And this is, the idea came from the Roald Dahl book that my son was reading at the time, BFG, the Big Friendly Giant. And I like the idea of that. So I wanted to do the Big Friendly Witch. Let me see if I can find it. More sirens. Gosh, I wonder what happened. Gosh, I'm glad it's not last night. All right, I think it's under T for the, hold on one second. There it is. Yep, let me show you it here. So she let me show you the pattern because she created an even friendlier looking witch. So this is my drawing, which is the pattern over here. And the idea is that this giant witch is much taller than the trees, right? She's trick-or-treating. She's up there as tall as the moon. The trees are under her. And she's got on this wacky dress with the big shoulders that I like to do. And when Kathy interprets it, she does the shoulders as hair, as crazy hair coming out, and gives the witch a friendly face, right? So does it in a more kind of storybook way than more, it's less anonymous than the one with no face. So super sweet, just done differently, right? Done a little bit differently, but still big witch up there among all the trees. She used her sparkle door wool in the background. Absolutely beautiful colors. And if you remember, we've talked about Kathy's work a lot. When she does she's a primitive hooker, but she does a lot with color change within primitive. And you can see that with the trees, like the veining skeleton part of the trees. You can see that she's changed, gone from one color to the next for not the outlining, but the veining on it. And it creates a really nice effect. Really fun and really colorful because this is a super simple piece, right? However you do it, it's a fairly simple piece. This is definitely a beginner piece. Those trees, they do glow, and she's going ombre, right? She's going dark at the bottom to light at the top. So she's probably using color changing, that mossy green, that gold green from top to bottom. And she'd probably already outlined with color changing wool unless she chose the wool as she went. But it's probably a color changing wool in both cases. And yeah, she does the tops of the trees glowing under the moonlight makes a lot of literal sense. Yeah, so sweet, so much fun. The Big Friendly Witch, the BFW. And this is another fun piece that I did for my friend Kaz. Now, this is a play on the Magdalena Briner Eby lollipop tree that we all know and love, right? And the lamb's tongues around the edge. This one I sort of customized for Kaz because she has a herding dog. She has like a collie breed. And so she adapted this pattern, right? It has animals that are trick-or-treating in it. So up top, we've got on the top left like a some kind of a sheep that's dressed up like sort of a Barbarella like armor, right? That's like a breastplate with like two sort of boob armor things. And down below, another sheep that's dressed as, or cow dressed as a pumpkin. And over on the right, she substituted for her dog um, with the Bride of Frankenstein hair, right? I gave him like that kind of a wig, and then on the top she wrote, "I heard you." As a joke, right? The piece is called Halloween Magdalena, and I made it this version of it specifically for Kaz, right? But you can do it with 4 Magdalena animals. But in her case, using the dog and writing "I heard you" makes a great Halloween joke because the dog is dressed up. The text fits the piece. She's done some Magdalena colors, right? The marble cake background is very Magdalena, but the other colors in here are primitive and brights. And that's not something we see often with a Magdalena piece. So it's fun. It's fun and funky and different. And when you look at it, you definitely get the Magdalena vibe, but there's a little bit more going on, right? There's a shift here. And this is an invitation for you to go in there and do it with 4 animals if you want all 4 animals, to be proper Magdalena animals, or go in there and adapt it so that one of the animals looks like one of the pets that you love, right? Really, really fun adaptation. And I love the background. I love the lamb's tongues. And I love seeing a Magdalena style piece done in a different color palette, right? It's just very liberating. Love that piece by Kaz. This is another piece I really love. So this is one of the first drawings I did specifically for this book. This is Autumn in New York, and this is hooked by Lily Fisher. This is one I had been sitting on for a while. I had a series of Autumn in New York, but I decided the others I didn't like as much. This was the one. I think I put in the pattern for you. There's the pattern. This is the one I really loved. We go to New York often as a family. We're scheduled to go for Teddy's birthday this year for a couple nights. And, the kids love New York. Don't ask me why, right? Because they're not crowd people. And I have to say, I love New York. I love that sort of sophisticated vibe, right? That you do find in some parts. Not many, but some parts, right? There's still that sort of 1950s feel to it. But I have to say, when I think about going to New York, just because of the stuff I love, like cozy New England villages and antique stores, none of that is in New York, right? There's none of that is there. So when I go for to soak in the atmosphere and to have, a nice Manhattan at a nice restaurant and get some good food and walk around with the kids and watch them look completely starstruck at the scale of the thing and the lights and everything else. That's why I love to go. But unless I was going to go to a museum or something on my own, I would never go into New York to just shop and whatever, because it doesn't really have anything for me. It's not one of these cities that really has anything for me. But I still love going. I think of it as New York of the movies, right? Of the 1950s era movies. I think of like New York breakfast at Tiffany's New York, like that kind of thing. And that's where this pattern comes from. You see the costumes harken back to that time. This isn't the busy contemporary New York of graffiti and street markets and a lot of garbage. This is like sort of old time New York. And I'm crossing over with the city skyline, which is quite simple. I'm crossing over a border of these trees because for such a large city, New York really is very green. And that is a good thing. We are quite good with putting, in most of our American cities, putting a lot of greenery into the city. And of course, Central Park is like the jewel in the center of the city. So you do get these beautiful autumn views and these color changing trees in New York. And I wanted to incorporate that into the picture in the skyline of New York. So I did it in a cubist style, meaning you can see from the drawing, it's not a mistake that the trees cross over onto the characters, the one at the bottom, but also onto the buildings. So whoever's doing this, right, it would be up to you whether you wanted to keep all 3 figures, right, because it's like triple threat, or just have 1 or 2 figures, and whether you wanted to keep that detail of the cubism, right? Where something kind of eclipses something else. You don't have to do it that way, but you can do it that way. I think Lily did do it that way, right? So she's maintained my shapes around the edges, and it does create a bit of an abstract look. But for me, in my head, this is what I was thinking, right? It gives it that vibe of autumn, and it's like the autumn trees, and some of them are losing their leaves, are overlapping with the story of the city and the people moving through the city, who in this case are like pumpkin patch people, right? And that's like a little bit of a joke there too. But I love this pattern. Lily Fisher did a great job. It's a super difficult pattern. I think not so much because of the idea of it, because of the overlap. And we talked about this a lot when she took this pattern, and she wasn't intimidated by it at all. She said, no, I get what the idea is. And she's like, I might do a little bit of that and then a little bit of not that. And as always, I said, do it however you want to do it. It doesn't matter to me. Do it however you see it. But with this book, all of the original drawings are in the book. So part of that was a time thing for me because I was in so much trouble at the end when the book was due to go to print, and I had no more time. But at the same time, I feel like why not keep the original drawing, because you might like my original drawing or you might like the changes that someone else makes, right? And then you have two choices rather than one. Sue says, hello from Kansas. I already miss Halloween and planning for the next. Well, I miss it too. I have to say, I'm not taking the pumpkins down from the yard for at least 2 weeks. We're going to be those people. But I am getting right into the Halloween vein again. So if you need something Halloweeny, I can send it to you. I am your Halloween hotline right through the year until we get there again. Autumn in New York, Lily Fisher. And what have we got next? Let's see. We have got Lisa Smith. Lisa Smith did two great pieces. Lisa Smith was a fairly new hooker when this book came out last year. And she did two pieces that were extraordinary. I put one into this book and I held the other for the next book because, everybody got. Sorry, I thought I heard someone at the door. I'm playing this game again. That always scares me at night. Don't want to see anyone's face at the door, right? I'm in the breezeway right now. Lisa did something really unusual in that she wrote a short story for each of the pieces she hooked. So I was blown away by that. Everybody gets to put in whatever kind of text they want. Some people put in sort of poetry or recollections of growing up. Some people put in, Joyce, what you put in just like was so moving and broke my heart. It was so not sad, but just bittersweet. Everybody wrote different things and put different things in. Some people didn't want to do text. And then I filled in, their page with something about composition or something, or an old poem, like a vintage poem or something. But everybody's page had text in the end, and some people wanted to write and others didn't. And that's all great. I love the variety. But Lisa did some amazing short stories. She did two amazing short stories. And this one was for this character. And I'm going to show you the pattern itself. Good. This is another one of my early patterns. You can see it says 2020. So this is one of my first patterns for ribbon candy hooking, because I started ribbon candy hooking on January 1st, 2020. And again, this was before COVID, so this must have been January, February. And this is one of my foldovers, right, where I folded it over and it was supposed to be balanced on both sides. And I kind of worked in it with a sort of illusion way, trick on one side and treat on the other. And it's meant to be kind of backwards and like magic looking. And I liked the moon earrings. And this is called steam pumpkin. You can see it at the bottom, one word. So like steam pump, but the face is a pumpkin. So steam pumpkin. And yeah, and it's got a lot of room for play. And Lisa saw that. And so she filled it in with like the angel wings and very high relief. She did actual braids for the hair. I mean, I just love seeing the different ways that these pieces are done. Just really fun. Her short story with this was absolutely beautiful. I hope you read it and enjoyed it. I was totally blown away. And you can look forward to Lisa's other piece and her next short story in the Mystic Carpet in 2026. Really fun. This is another early piece that Lisa Atkins hooked. And Suze, that was fabulous, right? This is one of the early ones. I remember working on this way before ribbon candy hooking. I think I was going to make it as like a needlepoint for myself. or a quilt or something, and it very, very primitive. I did, let me see if I have the drawing on this one too. Yep. So I did this drawing in 2020, but I had done the original drawing much, much earlier because I remember what playground I was at when I did this drawing. I remember I was sitting at a table with the kids and they were tiny little babies and I drew this and I remember that perfectly. But this is another one that has some symmetry. It's folded in half, but obviously I wanted two different characters, right? So it's pretty much the same from side to side, except that one of the characters is turned into a boy that's dressed as kind of a cowboy with a kerchief and a hat and a mustache, and on the right, like a girl who's dressed as a princess, and they're both leaning in a very stylized way over this um, bucket or galvanized, whatever those things are called, of water with these bobbing apples in them. I just loved this piece, and Lisa wanted to do this piece. I was very, very excited. And she's got both of these figures leaning in here to bob for apples. She's done it in a very primitive way, which is exciting because it shows that it doesn't have to be super detailed, right? This is quite detailed. The text is detailed. I've got paisleys. The costumes are detailed. The faces on the pumpkins are detailed. You can take anything with detail and make it into a more primitive style. And why shouldn't you? Because whatever you choose, it has to be your style and it has to be your color palette. I love this color palette, the blues, the neutral grays. The tablecloth has kind of a texture to it, the way she's hooked it, and the pumpkins on the side, right? But it is much more primitive and it is fun and good to know that you can do this. When you look at something and you say to yourself, it's too complicated for me, you're not doing yourself justice because all you need is to just sit with it for a minute and think about how you can make it more your style. This is more of a witch character than a princess, right? And that's an easy substitution as well with the cone hat. I absolutely love this piece. And another steampunk style one. Hold on one second while I just take one more sip of this. Oh, I've been standing for a while and I'm starting to feel dizzy again. Mm. I read that when you're feeling dizzy and stuff, sugar is not good, and I'm guessing that there's sugar in that grapefruit juice, but it does feel good to drink it, so I'm going to keep going. This was done. This is called Steampunk Prim. This was done by my good friend Michelle Holler. This is a still life, and this has a real abstract, crazy quality to it. I'll show you the drawing for this as well. This is a wacky one. Oh, I opened right to it again. I mean, this is a big book. That's kind of funny. The pattern looks like this. Um, and you can see here, you're getting a glimpse at the bottom. The inspiration for this piece is I was looking at a bunch of the old um, patents for old Halloween jack-o'-lanterns and sort of early animatronics. And I thought to myself, how crazy and fun is sorry, wait a minute. Am I good? Yep, I'm good. That that they had these pumpkins that moved that had like a mechanic quality to them, like in the Victorian period, and that these jack-o'-lanterns were patented, right, as like early moving scary toys and stuff. So the inspiration could be low. It could be low. I do have low blood pressure. God, that's so funny that you say that. Could that be it? I do have low blood pressure. How crazy. I wonder if I should still drink I'm going to drink it one more time because it does help when I drink it. I have high cholesterol but low blood pressure. Thanks, Gail. I'm going to look that up as soon as I'm done. I'm going to Google that. Um, I love the idea of a still life, like the pumpkin, almost operating as a vase, right? What can you put into a vase? What can you put into a basket? Anything. And there's all of these arms coming off of it that have these things that are look like mechanical inventions, right? It just looks funky, and it's quite similar to these patents that I found. But in this case, we're seeing like on these wiry kind of branches, it looks like, metal, a little prim house, witch's hat, a star, some leaves, the bat, right? So it's like a robot that's holding all these prim elements. It's a weird idea, but luckily Michelle is weird too, and she loved it when she saw it. So I was very excited because I loved the drawing, right? It's not for everyone, but I loved it. She loved it too. I love the shading that she did, Pumpkin Dreaming of Halloween. That's another great title for that, Suze. That actually makes a lot more sense. I love it. But I love the pumpkin, right? You see all the pink that she got into the pumpkin and the scar on his face and the green glowing eyes instead of like yellow glowing eyes or white glowing eyes. Like it's just, she put color in cool places. She also put like that cloud of gray in it. I think she explains that in the book. She did that on purpose to give it kind of that old fashioned look, like she'd run out of the white. I just love it. It to me, this piece is like a blend of the old and the new. It's a wacky piece. And in a book this size, I thought I can allow myself a few wacky pieces that are really my style, right? That are right to the end of my imagination. This is a more traditional one, but I love this one too. This is a great beginner pattern. Robin Perkle did this. It's called The Sky is Falling. And yeah, she's another Prim hooker. She loved the idea for this. It's a super straightforward one that you can grab whether you've been hooking forever or whether you just started out. Um, I just love it. It's got a bit of a Van Gogh sky going on. It's got some falling leaves. It could be very simple, just basic one color background, some leaves, some acorns falling, and then the squirrel on the branch. Or it could be more like this with lots of swirls and breakdown of color. You see the breakdown of color in the various leaves, how exciting that looks. You see how she really built the background with light and dark colors. It's not a boring, it's a simple drawing, but it's executed in a very exciting way. So again, lots of choices with stuff like this, right? Judy says, I love how there is a maker out there who knows just how to interpret every concept drawing. And it's so true. There is a maker for everything. And now that our group has gotten to be so large, now that I have met so many of you in person or at least on email, and we've gotten to know each other quite well, now I kind of know when I'm putting something out, I think like, this might be for this person. And I'm not always right, but I'm often right. And I'm not saying like, oh God, mwah, mwah, I'm so right. I feel very positive about knowing that I can remember what people's styles are and I can remember what people's interests are. And at this point, still, my memory is good enough that I can remember personal things about people and what they like, and who has this kind of a dog, who might want to do this kind of a piece. You know what I mean? So it's been great fun, and also an exercise in sort of delegating and management, which is not something I'm good at, where I'm able to match people up to stuff that I think that they will actually love doing. And then when they do it, you can see the love in the finished piece, and I think perfect, right? So when you agree to do a piece for a book for me, just know in your mind, if I offer you stuff and you say, that's really not my style, thanks for showing me, I'm never going to be offended by that. It just means that I file that away. And then next time I come back to you for something else, I might be a little bit closer with knowing what your style is, and I might match you with something you like better. But you always have to be honest with me and say, I just don't see myself doing it, or I did something similar. It's just not my style. I'll never be offended. I'll either say, well, I have more pieces to go. Let me show you something else. Or I'll just file it and I'll think, okay, I got that next time. But I hate it. I hate it. I hate thinking that people would ever take anything and spend time on it that they didn't want to hook. Right? That's not why I do these books. They're way too labor intensive and time intensive, and they take way too much energy and money to put them together. And ever feel like people felt forced to do anything for them, right? I always want to make a good match. So, yeah, I love it when I do. Sue says, I'm thinking of a design of the day after Halloween. The kitchen is a mess. Pumpkins are curling up, and the witch's hat is on tilt. That's a great idea. Are you going to draw it? That's a great idea. I would love to have that in the Mystic Carpet. I did that on purpose. I did that long pause on purpose for drama. I would love to have that in the Mystic Carpet. That sounds amazing. If you need any help with it, let me know. But I love that idea. I'm sure you can do it, and I bet it's going to be gorgeous. That's a really fun idea. So Robin Perkle, The Sky is Falling, and let me show you. Let me show you since we're here, and I am still standing. Let's see, The Sky I'll show you the drawing for that too, because she did it quite advanced with all of that swirl. Here it is. But the drawing itself is a pretty easy drawing, right? And again, you take it where the wind blows you. That's where you go with it. And it has to be your taste, right? It's not about my vision. It's about what you make and how it evolves for you. It's not about me. And let's see, Sandy Fox. Sandy Fox did a few beauties in this book that I love. This is Wall Street Jack, and this is based on a vintage, I think, postcard or maybe character. Oh, I can't remember. Wall Street Jack is like a British folkloric Halloween character. He's like a sort of superhero, right? He can jump. I think that's his superpower. Um, anyway, this is out of context. The character is not a pumpkin. I just liked the name, and I like that crossover to this character. But this is I put this. Let me show you the drawing for this. I put this character of Jack on. This is I colored this on the computer, right? Wall Street Jack on stage, like he's in a 1920s kind of review show and in costume like this, and there's two ghosts. This is one of the symmetrical ones I did from 2020, right? This is another one of those. It's perfectly symmetrical on both sides. So he looks like this in the drawing, and Sandy said, but wait a minute, when I did it, I thought that was a bat under his feet, like not a stage. I thought it was a bat. So she did it as a bat. And why not? That makes perfect sense. I super love it as a bat. I thought it was so funny. This is also the image I used as the thumbnail for tonight's show. Just so you know, if it looks familiar, that's why. So that is Sandy Fox, and this is Wall Street Jack. And this is, again, based on a vintage image, one of the 2020 era Halloween drawings. This is when I first really got into it. This is another symmetrical one that I did in 2020, right? One of the early first blast. Sue Zarins did this, and she did this in Mini Punch. So this is Lollipop Jack, Jack for Jack-o'-lantern, right? So a lot of the British pumpkin characters are just Jack for Jack-o'-lantern. So I'm doing a lot of that here too. So this is Mini Punch, smaller. She's dated it 10/31 for Halloween. Perfectly symmetrical on both sides. What I really love about this piece is she did it in, other than the purple and the glowing yellow, it's different. It's a different palette, right? There's no orange in this. I thought that was really cool to see something different palette. One of the things I worried about with the Haunted Rug was that every page you flipped, it would just be orange and black, orange and black. And that's not how this book is. I was happily surprised that so many people went crazy with color with their patterns in this book. And don't get me wrong, orange and black is great for me. Like I'm really a traditionalist, but I love seeing that other people did different things because it added so much variety and energy to the book. So Sue Zarins did this again as a Mini Punch, really sweet pattern, could be done very big, very small. It's super simple. It could become complicated if you wanted to do it as like a primitive or a ripped, technically complicated, or if you're a beginner, this is another great pattern for you. It's a lot of fun, really simple to execute. Valerie posted this yesterday or on Halloween, on Friday, and I had to comment on it because I said, oh, I just put that into the show. I love this piece. It's called Is It Worth It? This is Valerie Tillman. Is It Worth It? And this is one that I sent to her, and I said, this is this weird idea. I don't know if this would appeal to anyone because, you see yard longs and you see long, wide, skinny compositions in rug cooking, but you rarely see a tall, skinny one. And maybe this isn't for everyone, but I love the idea of a drawing with a haunted house that had kind of a face on it. And I was trying to capture with this piece the idea that when you're little, and you're going to a house that's scary, the driveway, if you remember, can often seem really long, really far. And I remember being little and having this feeling of having to walk to the door and thinking, is it worth it? Or should we just skip this one? But it's that moment. And you can see the house in the distance is like a haunted house, but it does have a slight face to it, right? You can tell that you can see sort of a face to it if you want to do it that way. And there's like shrubs along the way, so it's like this corridor. But the reason I wanted it to be long and skinny was I was trying to create like a magic mirror kind of illusion that when you're standing there, it seems really far. So I did that with height, right? I did that with height because I thought it makes more sense to have. It's a very simple composition also, so this is a good beginner pattern too. um, it makes a lot of sense to have the character in that negative of the sort of driveway, right? The path, because then the character is very clear, and everything else you could do really in any color or with any material, any height. You could bling out as long as that character is safe at the bottom. You're going to see him clearly, and he is a little devil in the thing, but you could switch that out too. Trepidation, absolutely. I remember that because I remember trick-or-treating, and I'm sure you do too. There were some houses where back in the day, in the 70s and 80s, for me, grown-ups sometimes went crazy. Like Donna, I'm sure my mom remembers, who lived down the street. She always did something that like either made me actually pee in my pants or almost pee in my pants. She did the scariest stuff at her house. Like she was always hiding, or she had like booby traps and stuff, and it was too scary. It was almost like not worth it. And one time I remember I was going up her driveway and she was hiding in the car. And as soon as I got and she was dressed like horrible, like horribly scary. And as soon as I got near the car, she swung the door open, and it like hit my container. And I mean, it scared me so badly. And that's probably, I mean, I still remember that so clearly, and she would laugh so hard. You would never do that these days because you would get in so much trouble. I think that's not a good thing. Um, but it was fun. It was fun to be scared. And I'm sure it was fun for her to scare all the kids. But it made me think that's got to be the backbone to this piece, is remembering nights like this where, you're little and you're like, I don't think so. I'm going to pass on that. So, Valerie Tillman, Is It Worth It? And this is the last one I've got for you tonight. I'm actually making good time tonight. This is another mini punched piece by the amazing Wendy Simon. This is Patchwork Owls. So, this is a series of 3 separate little drawings that are fused together to make a long, skinny piece. She did it mini punch. You do it however you want. She's got it mounted on a piece of wool and button stitched around the edges, and just beautifully done color wise. This is really similar in design to the piece I did a couple years ago called Spring Bloom Garden. Do you remember when I kind of split, very 1950s era of art, split the canvas up horizontally with stems and leaves? I'm doing that again here, and I'm just showing you owls that are done like sort of stylistically with the breakdown of color, similar bodies, right? But the breakdown of color in a quilted way, a little bit different, like as if they were quilt pieces, and can be done in any color. I'm so sorry. If you can hear Teddy, all I can say is I apologize. He's obviously out of his mind, but he is having a lot of fun. Gail, I love this too. Inquisitors. Yep. That's it. Suze, you're coming up with some great titles tonight. I might have to consult you for the Mystic Carpet book. Um, anyway, I love this piece too, Patchwork Owls. And, with this show, I just wanted to show you, we've seen some of them. We've seen some of them at Solder. I just wanted to show you the variety that's in this book. So many different pieces. And to my delight, in so many cases, the pattern is very different than the finished piece. And I just love that. I love that because when we do, I obviously I can't ever do a book alone. That's never going to happen. I would never time-wise be able to do that, and I would also never want to do that. And what keeps me going with projects and new designs and new book projects and new challenges and all that stuff is the idea of collaborating, right? Because if I can't, I'm a collaborator for sure. I'm not a lone wolf at all. I have lots of ideas, but it's not fun if I can't collaborate. If I'm just doing them in a vacuum, for me that's not fun. Other people work differently. You've got artists who are, and I think the rug hookers who are more gallery artists, they are more of the sort of lone wolf characters, right? They do work like in solitude. They get it done. They're devoted. They're crazy, like involved in their work, and then they put it up in galleries, and that's the part of the rug hooking scene they're in. And I'm kind of at the other opposite side of the hookers group, right? Of people who are like, do this for a living. And I'm on the side that I can't do anything without other people's help. I can't do anything without conversations about, do you think this is good, or would you rather this, or do you think this should be like this or like that, or what do you think? I can't move without constantly touching base with other people. And even with the magazine, I mean, I only ended up doing it when Judy said she would collaborate with me, because it's such a responsibility to do a project by yourself. And I don't think it's about, for me, it's not about vulnerability or putting myself out there and then having people not like it. It's just not fun to me. It's not fun to work in solitude. I like to be connected to other people, even if it's over the internet. So I love it when I send out these pieces and people send them back, and then I can get stuff assimilated into a book, and then we have another book on deck. That is like the best thing for me. I love it. And that's why we do so much of it here. So remember, Mystic Carpet is coming out for 2026. And I have a bunch of designs, so I will unearth them in the next couple of days. Being sick this weekend, 3 days, has really slowed me down. I did manage to get a lot done this afternoon, but I got to say, I lost hours and hours of time that I normally would have been working, which is really disappointing and frustrating. But but I do have a lot of stuff on deck for both. If you're working on the Laundry Line book, there is not a fixed ending to that. I know there's a bunch of people working on stuff for the Laundry Line book, and you're hooking patterns of your own that don't have to be available as patterns in this book. This does not have to be a pattern book. So if you want to hook something but you don't want to share the pattern, I feel it has to be an original pattern, because I don't want to, with a Ribbon Candy book, advertise another designer, right? That wouldn't be good for me. But if you have an original design, you don't have to share it as a pattern if you don't want to. But you do have to hook with like clothing, because that's why it's called Laundry Line, that one. So when I have enough of that and I feel like it's a good full book that I'm proud of and I feel is a good value because it's thick enough, I'll put that book out. Otherwise, I'm working on the Mystic Carpet, and I'm working on Spilling the Tea, and that is the book that is stories from American history, particularly the Revolutionary era, right? The 1770s. So if you're interested in one of those patterns, just let me know and we can start that back and forth conversation. And if you're interested in something Halloween, let me know. And otherwise, make sure you watch last week's episode for Magpie. I have confirmation from Judy. We are sticking with those themes. She's very excited with those themes. It is like full guns ahead, right? Going into 2026. So start now getting some of this stuff going. Whatever you get done between now and January 1st is kind of a gift, right? So get started now, get as much done as you can between now and then. And then as soon as we hit the new year with all of these projects, you'll already feel like you have a huge head start, right? So anyway, collaboration, Dave says, is the best part of the process. Veronica, great to see you. Thank you so much. Let's see what it is. I'm going to go look up low blood pressure. I think that was a great thought. Teddy sounds like your grandson, Gail. He's talking to somebody on the phone, or they're playing something at the same time, and he had a sleepover this weekend. Ben came home after Halloween, and that night I was really sick. I was like barfing into a bucket overnight, so that's not good. That's probably not low blood pressure though, right? Yeah, they were so loud, but I was so sick I didn't hear them, and I just slept. And I thought, oh, food poisoning, right? Which it might yet be. Who knows? But I really hope I can sleep it off tonight and wake up and feel great. Just remember that because I did a show tonight and I haven't had time to prep a show for Monday, tomorrow, I'm going to be with you live on Wednesday. So I'll be there Wednesday morning for coffee time, and then I'll be there Friday night for cocktail time. And we'll probably start looking, well, we're going to look at some of Karen Garby's pictures from Cheticamp, the Cheticamp week, right, where she went and took the class in Nova Scotia. And I want to look at some of these other books that Rug Cooking Magazine gave for free in the swag bags to everyone who came to the Halloween Howl. That was our Halloween party last week. So we have a lot of stuff to do. We have a lot of stuff to catch up on. I'm going to try to get it together. And they both have a similar problem. Yes. Yeah, I'm going to get it together, and we're going to have some great shows next week. And make sure you reach out if you want to work on some stuff, because I can get you started. All right. Until then, happy Monday, Tuesday. I'll see you Wednesday at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Have a